Hello gamers and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be taking a look at something that confused me no end when I started playing Contest of Champions, and that is the Masteries screen. I'd like to say before we start this video that there are no real hard and fast rules when it comes to Masteries, and sometimes the subtle differences between one summoner's Masteries and another's is simply the champions that they like to use and their personal preferences. That said, in this guide I'm going to share my opinions of a good base Mastery setup that I think every up-and-coming summoner should have as a bare minimum. This helps to build a strong foundation that you can use to help you progress forwards in the contest. So, what are the Masteries and why do we need them? To answer this question, I've totally removed all of the points from my Mastery tree to show you. We're going to jump straight into a fight with Winter Soldier with no Masteries and see what happens. So you can see here, Winter Soldier's doing a fair amount of damage to me, even through my block. My light and medium attacks are doing somewhere in the vicinity of 200 damage. And when he launches his special one in a moment, I have absolutely no way to avoid it. This is not good. So what can we do about this? The very first Mastery that you need to invest in is Parry, and it can be found in the Proficiencies tree. Parry is a core mechanic, and it means that if you block an opponent's attack at exactly the right moment, not only do you reduce the amount of damage that this attack would have caused, but you also stun them for a given time. Once you have enough mastery points to take Parry up to rank 3, it is critical that you do so. However, there is another core mechanic that you also need to unlock, and this is Dexterity. Dexterity enables you to completely dodge an opponent's attack when you swipe backwards. You only really need one mastery point here, but what this enables you to do is completely avoid most champions' special 1 and special 2 attacks. In order to unlock Dexterity, you'll need to put one mastery point in Limber before putting your next point in Dexterity. Heading back to Star-Lord and Winter Soldier, you'll now see how I'm able to stun him by blocking at the exact moment that his hit makes contact with me, as well as being able to swipe back to dodge the gunshots of his special one. Bear in mind that not all special attacks are fully available with Dexterity, but with experience you'll get to learn which ones are and which ones you need to block. If we head back to the Proficiencies tree, the only other Mastery in here that I think you'll require is Stupefy. This Mastery increases the length of stun that you apply to the opponent, including the parry stun, so you'll want to work towards 3 points in here as well. Now, as we move into the offensive Mastery tree, this is the place in my opinion you'll want to invest the majority of your points. The bank of 8 Masteries on the left is the most important. On the far right of this tree are the Masteries Precision and Cruelty. These are the ones that you want to be working towards. It's easy to get caught up with Masteries like Strength, that increases your attack, or Courage or Pierce, but these early Masteries in this section of the tree should be seen as stepping stones on your quest to unlock Precision and Cruelty. Precision increases the crit rating of all champions by 340 at rank 4, which really is the sweet spot to set this Mastery at, as the limited increase you get at rank 5 doesn't really justify the extra Mastery point needed to unlock it, whilst Cruelty increases the critical damage rating of all champions by 475 at rank 5. This means all your champions will be hitting much harder whenever they land a critical hit. Once you have enough points on hand, the setup you see here should be your bread and butter. This setup increases your crit rating and crit damage, so that when we return back to Star-Lord and Winter Soldier, you'll now see that not only has our damage increased a little from the Stepping Stone Masteries, you can now see lots of critical hits landing as we attack into Winter Soldier. This means we can do much more damage in a shorter period of time, making it more and more likely we will win the fights that we are going up against. Jumping back into the offensive Mastery tree for this baseline Mastery setup, the last Mastery we need to take a look at is Courage. This increases your base attack by up to 20% when your health is below 50%. When you're a progressing player and are finding that you're needing to use revives in some of the quests you're working through, this Mastery can really help you end those troublesome fights by boosting your attack when you need it the most. Moving into the defensive Mastery tree, Vitality and Greater Vitality can be seen as stepping stones on your way to block proficiency, whilst Salve and Recovery are pretty crucial in the early game, as they really do help heal your champions up when they take damage during the match. Recovery can be especially helpful as it can increase the amount of health you gain from any source by 15%. This is huge when you're just starting out. The energy and physical resistance masteries, in my opinion, seem to offer very little in the way of benefits, and the points you could put here are much better spent in other places like block proficiency, which you absolutely want to max out as soon as you can. Perfect Block is another stepping stone that leads to a mastery that I like to keep activated, Stand Your Ground, which gives you a chance to resist an opponent's heavy attack when you're blocking, which has saved my bacon more times than I can count. Started to put the points down, my baseline defensive tree takes shape as follows: 1 point in Vitality, 1 point in Greater Vitality, 4 points so that we max block proficiency, 1 point in Perfect Block, 2 points in Stand Your Ground, given a 20% chance to resist that heavy attack, and then max Salve and max Recovery. From here, you'll have a pretty solid base mastery setup to begin thinking about which direction you wish to take your masteries in. This is where we come to the expensive masteries, which can really improve your experience. Down the bottom right, you'll see Despair, which I use to unlock Deep Wounds, which extends all bleeds your champions inflict by 2.5 seconds, which is huge if you use a lot of bleed champions, like Blade for example. However, maxing this mastery out will cost you 1 Carbonadium core at 550 units and 2 Stony cores at 270 units per level. That's over 4,000 units for rank 5. After Deep Wounds, I also like to have 3 points in Assassin. This mastery at rank 3 increases your attack by 40% when your opponent is below 18% health, and also reduces their defensive ability by 16%. This really helps to end those higher health pool fights that little bit quicker, but again, it costs the same as Deep Wounds to unlock each level. Above the Deep Wounds tree, you also have what's known as the Suicide tree. Glass Cannon, which is already maxed out, increases the attack of all of your champions by just over 7%, but reduces their health by the same amount. This is a great trade in my opinion. Followed by Recoil, which really is a necessary evil for the mastery build I run. It does increase your special attack damage by 30% at rank 1, but every time you fire off a special 1 or 2, you lose 5% of your health. So why exactly would you have this mastery active? The 2 masteries that are linked after this one, Liquid Courage and Double Edge, can both increase your attack by 30%, so that's a 60% maximum increase in attack. The trade-off? Liquid Courage gives you a permanent poison that drains 0.6% of your health per second, and Double Edge inflicts a bleed that takes off up to 20% of your health over 16 seconds, hence the Suicide tree. Suicides can be very powerful, but you need careful planning in your mastery build to make sure that you offset the damage to your health that comes along with them. I don't run Liquid Courage anymore as I found the permanent poison too much to deal with, but I do run full Double Edge as I can offset the bleed with 2 other masteries. Willpower, which I have at rank 3, causes me to regenerate 0.7% of my health whilst under any damaging debuffs, and Coagulate reduces the damage from any bleed that you suffer. Looking at champion PI after making these mastery changes, you can see my top champion started out at around 10k PI with no masteries at all. After applying my base mastery setup, this increased to around 12k PI, and once my expensive but nice to have masteries were added on top, we were right up into the 14k area for Omega Red, who really does benefit massively from the Suicides. I really do hope this video has helped any of you out who are as confused as I was by the mastery setup screens when I first started playing Contest of Champions, and that you now have a little more understanding of how the mastery builds work. I'm certainly not saying that this is the perfect mastery setup for everybody, and there are thousands of other ways you can build your masteries depending on the champions you have in your roster. Suicides are definitely not for everybody, but if you only take one thing away from this video, I hope it's the baseline mastery setup, which I really do believe is universal and a great place to start from when you're trying to find your own mastery sweet spot. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button and click subscribe so you don't miss any of my Marvel Contest of Champions updates. Have a great day.